I'm messy. I love the flexibility of making my own planner from a spiral notebook or making a companion notebook to go along with a planner if I'm using one at the time. But I don't like to draw things out because I'm messy. I like nice, pretty printed things. And I like to make my own forms. I like to make calendars and things in Pages or any number of programs, but that takes time. And so sometimes you just need to print something and just get to getting things done. So I have a stash of websites that I have to help me get things just printed and, use my little adhesive stuff and just stick it in and go. So if you want to check these out, maybe there's some you haven't heard of before. So this is pdfcalendar.com. This is kind of my tried and true. It's the simplest. You don't have a lot of options. You can change the things on a calendar, but it's just for calendars. You can title it. You can change the date. You can see you can do the Monday start there. It says 12 weeks per page. This makes it seem like that's the max, but you definitely can do 13. I have done that. You can do a full quarter. Sometimes I title them. Usually I don't. I don't usually do the shading. I love week numbers, so I almost always do the week numbers. Again, you may have a different opinion there, but you can change font sizes and colors and margins and borders and paper size. But really, generally, it's either portrait or landscape, and I go. This next one, Calendarpedia, I have not personally used. I'm really kind of afraid to go down the rabbit hole. I found this through Crystal Clear Life. She's got a great channel. She uses Microsoft OneNote, which I would love to use, but it kind of sucks on a Mac. And I almost bought a PC just to use it, or I did buy a Windows machine just to use it, but I took it back before I opened the box. But they have all kinds. I just happen to be showing quarterly templates because that's something that every place doesn't offer. Obviously, pdfcalendar.com doesn't offer it. One thing on pdfcalendar.com, there were ads, but they were only down the side, very unobtrusive. You'll see when you're on the home page for this one, the ads are not quite as intrusive. And hopefully I'm going slow enough that I'm not making you sick, but you can always pause it. Weekly is, again, not something you can get on PDF Calendar. You can see there's an Etsy ad. So just if people aren't paying attention, they might click on that, think they're still getting free calendars, but that's taken into Etsy. But lots and lots of great options here. You can see they offer more formats. It's not just PDFs. You can do Excel or Word, so you could potentially do some tweaking. These are going through all the horizontal calendar layouts. It looks like you've got some options for start dates, or not dates, but days, potentially. And then we go into the portrait orientation. So just so many options. It's just amazing. And one thing, as I was filming this, I didn't realize, look at their colors. They're almost my colors. But then again, we both, great minds went Roy G. Biv with our colors for our weekly days. This next one, Vertex 42, I haven't used recently for calendars. I used it years and years and years ago, actually. And again, this one's got the most obtrusive ads. You'll see I'm going to click off an Etsy ad here at the bottom. Again, Etsy's a great place to get stuff. It's just not free. I have a great Vertex 42 story. I actually used to work for YNAB. You Need a Budget, in case you're familiar with that software or that app. I guess we don't say software anymore. We say apps. But anyway, I used to work for that company. And the way that I found it in the first place before I was a customer, to purchase it as a customer, was on their budgeting templates here on Vertex 42. They suggested it. It was back when it might have just been Jesse. Maybe it was just Jesse and Taylor at the time. But yeah, it's how I found YNAB, and then used it for years and was a regular on their forum, and then ended up working for them for a few years doing webinars. So you can see there's just so many options, but there's also lots and lots of ads, which I don't fault them for. They got to make money somehow, but you do have to be careful what you click on. So lots and lots of calendar options. Again, these are mostly or they started out as all Excel, but you can see there's some Google Sheets in there, but not all of them. So if you have a, predilection one way or the other, you might need to do some adjusting. If you download an Excel one and you want it in Google Sheets, it might not work exactly. Some of them you have PDF options on as well. I think I go one more down here on the birthdays where I think you can probably put in and use as a perpetual. And then I couldn't help myself to include, they have lists like packing lists and, spring cleaning lists. And I didn't go into the list, but these, I just had to show some of the printable to-dos. Again, so many options here. If you want to make something nice and, not just having to draw a bunch of lines. Speaking of not having to draw a bunch of lines, this Income Tech comes from my math teaching days, but I used it a lot for dot grid paper. I have to read this to you. I'm going to guess you're really into pens, not in a healthy amount, but more than most. So that deserves a like right there. Go ahead and click the like and maybe subscribe, but lots of different options for pattern paper. I have no idea what some of these would be used for. I've read them all at some point before, but I would love to use that circle grid. It's so cool. The axonometric one looks really cool. Then there's all these other geometric shapes. The math teacher in me is just loving this. The one that's coming up here, the tumbling block, that's actually the pattern of rhombuses that was my old backsplash in my old kitchen that I miss and I love. Maybe I'll put a picture in there. And just so many options. And most of these you can click on and you can just, like on that first one, change the color, change some of the widths and etc. You got some pretty basic paper and then some paper for different languages you can write. So again, if you're using a notebook, some of those things could get used as trackers, all different things you could shade. Graph papers. And the last one, time and date. I use it for moon phases and that kind of thing quite a bit. But if I just need to print a quick calendar that is, so not one that I'm going to write in the boxes, but just like a calendar for the year, like the one they show in that little diagram. There's lots of ways to customize it, but that's generally what I come here for. I like that you can still choose a Monday start. And again, there's lots of other stuff here, but that's all I've ever used it for. It's just I would never have thought about it until I was kind of trying to make this list in my head of where do I print my calendars. So check some of those things out. There are my 5 sites for you to check out. If you don't use a full-size notebook, you can sure resize or try to figure out printing things front and back. Not for me. I'm going to stick and go. But if you check them out, let me know how you found them, if they were great, if there were some not so great things. If you have any others to suggest, please let me know in the comments. If you haven't seen any of my other videos on using a cheap notebook, I will put them up wherever that goes there and check some of those out. I'm going to be adding to that, but there's some up there for you to start with. Thanks for being here. Like and subscribe. We'll see you again next time.